I don't know. You tell me. You're the one who wrote it.
Where's that?
It's in blue.
Speaking of the microphone.
It's in blue.
This is Brightside. Oh, this is the
Brightside.
you saw this, right?
You
You saw this, right? How I wrote
one.
how I wrote everything like this.
Yeah.
I even color coded it. You
It's so organized.
you infected me.
Look how organized he
is
is.
my world.
Yeah.
Mikey's really good at.
Jumping at the bright side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Rachel always likes pointing out the fact that I am actually much more organized than people think I might be.
But he's not a good speller.
I never claimed that. Look, English is like my fourth or fifth language.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, I mean you get me,
Oh,
Jerry,
hey.
right?
I don't actually.
You just get me English.
It's just the one.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. It's the Bright Side with Mikey and Rachel. I'm Rachel.
I am Mikey.
And today we've got a special guest with us. It's Jerry Almonte.
Say hi, Jerry.
Hi, buddy.
Hey guys. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, baby. How you doing?
Yeah,
Chilling.
So full disclosure, this is
You
Saturday.
guys.
And we did this actually on Monday. No, we did this on Tuesday,
You guys.
earlier this week.
Oops.
Rachel-
I did
Rach-
it again. I played with your heart and I deleted a podcast on accident. We had recorded with Jerry. It was an hour and 40 minutes. It went swimmingly. And then I did not press stop again. And I did eject the SD card, which corrupts the files beyond repair.
So Rachel now knows twice what it means to
Are we actually
premature
recording?
ejaculate. What?
Are we actually recording?
Oh yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you
It's-
didn't do that thing where.
No, we didn't do the
first time-
countdown.
Oh, yeah.
I, mean, I
You just don't
pressed
care.
the buttons at the same time because
Oh,
Rachel was
okay.
saying comedy gold, and I
Oh,
like
okay.
I like
Comedy
it.
gold. Comedy.
Gold.
Gold.
We do things. We do
Yeah.
things.
We have things.
And also, full disclosure, I'm working off of like an hour of sleep, so I may say
Perfect.
something that is completely off. So, Rachel and Jerry, I want you, if
We're
I
just
start
going to
going off,
encourage you, basically, is what's going to happen.
Mikey's hair is really tall right now.
That's how late
That's
it
what
is.
happens
It's
with
really
wax.
tall. Glitter is all over the floor.
I don't even know
Plates
how that
stacked
happened.
up on the stove.
Oh my God, this place is a fucking shit show. Okay, Jerry, how are you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
Can you-
I got 4 hours of sleep.
I know you did. I know you look fresh. Like you walked in and you were like going at like a
Well, I just had to walk
man.
from outside up to like the 5 miles out to the villas out here.
Oh, it's not that
It's
bad. Come
really
on.
far.
It's
Yeah.
not that bad. I've been doing it
There's
all
hills.
week. Yeah.
There's a really steep hill. Although, you know what I did this time is I walked all the way through the hotel to the expo center, and then I cut across so I don't have to walk up that big hill.
Oh, look
That's
at
what I
this,
did.
smarty pants.
I did that too.
All right.
You know.
Jerry, for our listeners, please let us know what I call you. Do you remember what I called you? The scribe
when
of the
we're
Lindy Hop
alone?
scene.
Oh, yesterday I called him the Buddha of the Lindy Hop scene.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
better. That's better. That's better. You are.
Okay. Sure.
Wise words and quiet demeanor.
And wandering and pondering about Lindy Hops.
Yeah. Well, about a lot of things. It just happens to be a lot of. I just post about the Lindy Hop stuff.
That's true. That's true. I actually really love that name when you came out with it. I was like, I fucking hate that you got that name. That's such a good
he
name.
used to post about non-Lindy Hop stuff too on his
Did you
Yeah.
really?
on his blog. Yeah, I
Because
remember
that's why it was like not a specific like Lindy Hop, like
Yeah.
Jerry Almonte swing out.
Yeah,
Like, it was just like
there was like this ongoing post about this squirrel that he kept running into on his
Oh,
way
you
to
remember
work
that?
or
That was one of-
something, and it would like
that was
come
the-
up to him and he could like feed it or something.
Are you shitting me? Seriously?
I got pickpocketed once by a squirrel. I used to like because I was feeding ducks at a pond. I had like this like
This
wrap-
story
I-
gets so much better as you keep going.
So I just broke up a granola bar, just kind of like tossing it at them. Then I would like take the wrapper and I just like shoved it in my pocket. It's like sitting there contemplating the world. And then
You might
suddenly
say
I
wonder
feel
pondering.
like
Stuff.
I feel like suddenly I feel like a tug in my pocket. I look down and there's this squirrel like it's kind of like
Yeah.
reaching into him, like trying to like seeing reaching into like this granola wrapper.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
It was.
Who
Did
won?
it give you rabies?
Well, I let it have it because
Yeah.
I didn't want to touch it.
You were like,
I was-
no hantavirus for me. No
No.
thanks.
Yeah, well, I'm still here.
The squirrel won the day. You
Did.
And the ducks got away.
The squirrels in DC are bold because they're just because the tourists love them. They just give them all kinds of
That's
stuff.
fucking horrible.
That's so weird because squirrels are everywhere except for in New Mexico.
What do
That's
they have
true.
in New Mexico instead? There must
Meth
be something.
heads.
They've got they've got meth heads. They've got deer mice with the
What is-
hantavirus.
I don't know what that is.
Deer mice, they're like, I
So-
don't know, they're like mice with longer tails.
Uh,
that,
I
like,
was
hang out in
envisioning like this like
fields.
Yeah, with the horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
With the
no, no,
antlers.
they like hang out in fields and stuff, but they carry hantavirus. So hantavirus outbreaks are like much higher in New Mexico than in other parts of
Yeah.
the country.
Just
Good to know.
before we go on, but I just noticed because you just looked at me.
Aw.
You're talking about my hair. Let's talk about your hair. Like it's doing something like a reaching away from your body,
So
like a hand coming out of your head.
yesterday I did a dapper lady photo shoot with Jer Bear over here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and so I put a little bit of wax in my hair to like get it to kind of like slick back a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
because my hair is like so baby soft it doesn't do anything. And you can touch it if you want.
No,
it's so
it's all right.
soft.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good for now.
And
Definitely don't consent to that.
you know, it's like kind of stiff in my hair still.
Yeah,
And
so
then
see, there you go.
unlike you guys, I actually got a couple hours of sleep. I got
He-
like
no, Jerry got hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I maybe got like 4.5 or 5 hours.
Yeah,
of sleep.
you
That's what I
guys,
got.
you guys are still.
We're rocking and rolling over here.
Yeah.
Jerry, I know you can't talk too much about what you actually do, but what's the position? Can you talk about position?
For a living.
I work in the government. It's basically an administrative position where we help out organizing seminars and trainings for people, for
Oh.
the staff.
Okay, cool. Because last time you were like, I don't know how much I can say, so that's what I
Yeah.
do.
Well, I can't tell you who I organize it for because then it gives it away.
Dun dun
El
dun.
Presidente.
We can guess. We can guess.
Well, I
Is it
work-
Joe Biden?
No,
It's Joe
it's
Biden.
It's other government people.
No, probably people that we don't even know
Yeah,
about.
you're not gonna care.
You're not gonna care.
Care so little about.
Yeah.
So for most of you listening out there, you will have noticed that Lindy Focus has ended, but for us, it is just beginning. Not really. I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry. I apologize immediately. But for us,
Both Jerry and I like looked at each other and then looked at you like, what are you talking
What
about?
time zone are you
It's
in?
like almost over.
Yeah.
you guys.
What is wrong with you?
You guys, I just said it at the top. Okay, I'm working on an hour. So for us right here, it's actually getting to the end, but at the
It's
same time,
getting to the end
it's getting
for
to
you
the end.
guys out there, and it's getting to the end for us over here.
You know what? It's the world has ended at this point. It's just our voices speaking to squirrels from DC at this point. So how's been your guys' Lindy Focus so far? Rach?
It's been really good.
Yeah?
I
You've been
will-
dancing a lot?
I've been dancing a lot. My feet hurt really bad. And here's the thing is I don't have any good slick shoes that are also comfortable. Like I have my Garbaggio Eris Allens that are like 29 years old and are like disgusting and falling apart. And I have a fat foot and so like I can barely squeeze it in there. And it has no support because they're so old. And so my feet hurt if I dance in them too long. So then I like wear my Remix heels, but they make my feet fall asleep. And I just don't dance in heels enough. And so then like my legs hurt and my back hurts and my feet hurt. And so then like no matter what, my feet are hurting at the end of the night. And I like want to cry and curl up into a ball.
So you dance like once or twice and then you're gone.
No, I did. I danced a lot. I danced a lot.
You know what's funny? As you were saying the air sounds, I was thinking the white, for some reason, the white like cap toe.
Oh yeah, I've actually
The
seen a lot
classic
of people
shitty-o.
wearing those.
They still wear them. Yeah, they still wear them. I mean,
and
whatever.
It's not just
Well,
like
Lori's been here selling them.
But here's the thing: is like I was thinking those, but you were talking about like the Ked knockoffs,
yeah, the Ked knockoffs.
which makes it kind of. I mean, yes, even worse.
and I even
'cause, like, they're
I
so
wear
old.
orthotics in my shoes too.
Those
I have
sh-
like
I do
custom orthotics in my shoes.
Those shoes have probably seen more of this world than most people in the United States.
Yeah,
Yeah, like traveled around so
Oh, yeah.
often.
yeah.
That's weird.
I wish I could just wear my extra wide Keds. That's right, I wear extra wide.
So we're learning so many things. We're learning so many things. Jerry, how's been your Lindy Focus, my friend?
It's been great.
Yeah.
A lot of great music. Seeing a lot of cool people I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah. Have you been having good conversations with people
I have.
at 5 a.m.?
Not at 5 a.m. I wouldn't say call those good conversations.
Yeah,
Those are conversations.
Before we jumped on here, Jerry gave us a really good idea. Well, he had a good idea, and then he's like, I think I'm going to pass this on to Mikey and Rachel. As he was walking around 5 a.m. in the lobby, listening to many, who knows what. I mean, I can only imagine what you were listening to. People talking about board games or people talking about like life in general, which is already
Dancing.
a bad idea.
They were talking about dancing at 5 a.m.
At 5 a.m. He said, maybe I should go around and talk to people. No, that doesn't sound like me. It sounds more like a Mikey and Rachel thing. And we
record it.
And record it and talk to people. But me and Rachel were like, yeah, that's our thing.
That sounds like so awesome.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the night of 5 clarinets for a moment?
For sure. So many things have happened. Every night here has been a tribute night to one of the great big bands of the swing era. It started with Count Basie.
Yeah.
Then it went to Artie Shaw.
Yeah.
And then the amazing, historic Chick Webb night. And then finally last night, which was the Benny Goodman night. Which one was your favorite, and what do you want to talk about?
Oh, man. I mean, I would have to say that my favorite was Chick Webb.
Oh,
for
I mean, yeah.
sure.
Right? Jerry, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was-
I think we're all together on that one.
There was nothing more special than getting to social dance to Lindy Hopper's Delight.
Yeah.
That was like the creme de la creme for me.
I mean, we've heard those songs hundreds of times at this point, right? But there was something so special, like even though, okay, so they played Dipsy Doodle, and
Which was awesome.
which was amazing. I mean, every song, Dipsy Doodle, but and we associate that song with the Tranky Doo, the line dance, and obviously it comes from the Spirit Moves, which they overlaid Dipsy Doodle.
Yeah.
Onto something, but they actually danced to a live band in the recording of Spirit Moves, and which is lost to us now because we have no idea what they danced to. But like we still hold that together, and it was just some people were poo-pooing it as everyone was getting super excited because they announced they were gonna play Dipsy Doodle, and everybody knew what that meant.
Yeah,
and everybody was poo-pooing it, and I heard a couple people and they're like, oh, there they go. I was like. I turned to them, I said, because this is my new resolution. I was turning to them, I was like, hell yeah, that's where they go. You should go out there too. This is amazing. You get to do it to a live band, Dipsy Doodle, with all these people. This is going to be amazing. This is going to be so awesome. And they're like, yeah, and they ran out there and did it with them.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I was like using the power of positivity, and it totally worked. But that was definitely a highlight.
I have to say that like a lot of times during these nights, like the music is so good that I don't feel like my dancing can justify like how good the music is.
It doesn't match it. Yeah,
it doesn't match, and so I'm like, okay, I have to just like sit and listen.
Right.
But I was like, when am I ever gonna dance to this kind of stuff ever again live? You know, I have to dance to it.
Maybe at Inspiration Weekend, because
Inspiration
Jonathan
Weekend.
Stout will be there with his orchestra.
Well, I will say I danced so much on Chick Webb night because I was like, I have to.
Same here. I waited the first set just so I can listen and enjoy it for myself, and then the next couple sets I would come in and out of dancing. But it was beautiful. It was amazing. I think for me. Probably especially that night that like brought the whole house down, which was beautiful, and honestly knowing Jonathan was a tough thing to do because he shoots from the hip, but at the same time he keeps things close to the chest, and he gave a personal story about his newborn and and his name is Charlie, and he talked about clap hands, here comes Charlie.
Yeah.
And that was such a beautiful, 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 beautiful moment, which I think will probably be up somewhere at some point. On
the live transcript, the video, the live broadcast is still up on YouTube.
Well, there you go. I mean, you guys can.
So you can watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Bring a tissue because it is.
Oh my God.
It is inspiring because Jonathan is. I've known him for a real long time, and he's always been like. I wouldn't say an asshole, but I would say definitely like very strict in his thoughts and opinions, like always. Yeah. And he's never like backed down. And I remember when he first started playing guitar in the jam sessions, like after hours at Camp Hollywood. And I was surprised. I was like, huh? And he was like, "You're playing real good." Like, Jonathan, you're cool, dude. And he was like still dating, just dating Rachel, his wife, and to see him now doing stuff like this, and he even said on the microphone, this is his 20th year of swing dancing. It's inspiring. It's amazing. It's like watching like like a cousin or a family member just kind of reach their heights. As it's just really cool. Like I would never call him like a brother, but I would definitely say like cousin.
Yeah. I was in the Swananoa room with him, which is where like a lot of the
The room in the hotel that is
yeah,
part
it's
of
like
the
behind the scenes stuff happens. That's like where Brett lives for his videography, and Jonathan does a lot of his chart taping in there. And he told Brett that Chick Web Night was like his biggest accomplishment of his entire life, besides like making a son.
Yeah.
And getting married.
Yeah.
And buying a house.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
Like two of those,
lifestyle change.
Like three of those things happened within the last year.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, he's had a big year.
Yeah, really. I mean, it was just beautiful, and I'm so glad he shared that with us, because it's like a true mark of an artist to like really give you the insight.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that also. I mean, throughout all the nights. So I mean, like Chick Web Night obviously was amazing, historic, and very touching for all of us. But all throughout the evenings, he made it a point to give you a historical background on these songs.
Yeah.
Talking to some of the people, like for instance, for Benny Goodman Night, he talked about Dan Barrett, which is one of his trombone players. And him being a part of the Benny Goodman band, the last version of the Benny Goodman band, with Benny Goodman leading it, and him playing, which one was it? Don't Be That Way? Or was it, no, Lady Be Good.
Yeah. And fun fact, he got new facts for this year.
Yeah.
He had different facts this year than he did last year.
Yeah,
for
because
each
a
night.
couple more different. Yeah. Which is really fun. Like I think, because like listen, not only like in our community, I think we all strive to do this. We all strive to move the dance forward, but still remembering and keeping a hold of the legacy that we've had and that we will leave behind. And I think that just follows suit. So one of the other things that happened during that one of those nights was that on Artie Shaw night, and this is crazy to me, on Artie Shaw night, the Gambles decided to
The Gamblers.
I call them the Gamblers because I just call them the Gambler. And so the Gamblers, Michael and Jaya, they rented a harpsichord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that was amazing because you saw the grand piano, awesome that Chris Dawson was playing, and then right next to it just this little baby, like little brown
It
coffee.
looked like a toy set.
Yeah, it was like something at a Pixar.
Yeah.
Like if Pixar people had seen it, they would have made something like before Chris Dawson started, like playing them, and they were like having a moment, and the harpsichord's like, I don't know, not a lot of people like to play with me because they don't understand me, and the big piano going, it's all right, kid. You're going to do good. You're only going to be used for 4 songs.
Okay.
Or like something like that. Do you remember? Like
4 or 5 songs.
It's like 4 or 5 songs. But like the commitment to Sparkle Motion, the Sparkle Motion that is Artie Shaw night, that is amazing. And I love that happened too, because like that shows the experimentation of Artie Shaw.
Yeah.
To try to make something different out of the swing sound, like way back in the day. I think that's really cool. If you guys out there would like to listen to what that sounds like, you probably already understand, but now you have something to kind of like put an image to. Look up harpsichord, but also look up Artie Shaw and his Grimacy 5 or Grimacy 7. You'll hear it very prominently displayed on those albums. Besides the music and everything, or unless you guys want to talk another part of music, what else has been inspiring or positive about Lindy Focus for you guys?
Well, I think, back on the music, I think one of the things I noticed right off the bat during the Basie night, so what Lindy Focus does is it brings in all these musicians from all over the country, from L.A., New York, the Southeast, and usually in the past it's taken. So the Basie night is the first night.
Yeah.
The reason why it's the first night is Basie is pretty familiar to most of the musicians, so they're familiar with the material. Also, it's kind of simpler because it's a lot of blues riffs.
Right.
You just play really, really hard. But usually, what happens on the first night is that it takes like pretty much the whole night for the band to get it together.
Yeah.
Because it usually sounds pretty rough. They're all kind of
Yeah.
feeling like what it's like to feel in the space the first time they're in the space, first night at Lindy Focus. But this year, from the first song, I knew it was on. Like the
They
band
were
was tight.
Tight.
Because
They were on it.
Is this like the third or fourth year?
This is the third year of the whole
tribute stuff.
the whole tribute stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens because this is the one thing that I love, and sometimes like a torturous thing, but like I trust them so much. Is the gamblers? they get bored real fast.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like no, don't take it away, but then they replace it with something like
Something really cool.
equally or better, just as cool.
I actually really like that they try to keep the event fresh.
Yeah.
They're always changing things up because then it never gets stale. Like there are so many events out there that just do the exact same thing every
It's very
year.
true. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And you know, it's like how many more years can you go of just like relying on old reliable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you know what? And it being one of the biggest events in the country and the world,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it sets a tone. There's a lot of people that kind of see like, oh, what are they doing, Lindy Focus? And then try to like sort of replicate one part of it as somewhere their own scene.
Oh,
and
yeah.
One thing that they have never backed down from, which I'm very, very, very proud of them, which is their ideas of code of conduct, safe spaces, and especially this year, they've been putting their foot forward on the idea of consent. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the topic section of what we're going to talk about this in this podcast.
This eve of New Year.
Oh yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting it
It's
is
New
New
Year's
Year's Eve.
Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, Happy New Year's Eve.
Oh, thanks, you guys.
Happy
Happy New
New
Year's
Year's
Eve to
Eve.
you.
We're almost there.
Almost there. We're almost done.
Jerry, are you
So-
gonna wear a New Year's Eve hat tonight, like a little party hat, and have like one of those? What are those things called? You blow on them and it unrolls and it goes.
That thing.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
That thing. Yeah.
What are those called?
That thing, that whatever
Yeah.
the things that roll out and you push them and they go.
know what that is.
Yeah.
That's about it.
No, probably not. But
I can
do.
really
I
see
do.
you.
Baltimore did. The people from Baltimore brought these really elaborate crowns that some graphic designer up there like designed. So like you'll probably see a few of them tonight. But if you look really closely, like they're very detailed and they're all different. And they're
Like a crown, like to wear in your
like
tuck-in?
You know,
Okay.
like a tiara.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's insane. So, unless there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, Lindy Focus, we'll just move on to the topic.
I mean, we could talk about Lindy Focus forever, but
yeah.
but we should probably move on.
I love that both of you were like, "Yeah, we can talk so much more." Yeah, it's been really cool. Okay, moving on to the topic this week, we are going to be recapping the 2016 year of Lindy Hop swing dancing awesomeness.
Boop ba da doo boop boop boo.
And
Yay.
with this whole thing, what Jerry just informed me, like before we jumped on here, which is hilarious to me because he when we were setting this up earlier in the month, earlier in December, Jerry's like, "Yeah, I have this like spreadsheet that I keep most of my stuff on, my notes and whatnot." I was like, "Okay, cool," and he sends it on over to us. And I take a look at it, and the first
you,
thing
like, scroll.
the
scroll.
first thing before I even scrolled, like I think during the first scroll to look all the way down, like I just like had a mini seizure of going, oh my god, homework.
So many words.
Jerry has given us homework.
In my defense, I don't actually keep this running tally. This is actually the Facebook pages have this nifty little option where you can download like just endless spreadsheets of information about about everything.
Really?
Really?
Yeah,
I think we gotta try.
it's
that
called
out.
Insights.
Okay.
Oh.
And so like one of them is it gives you like the link to the original link, an ID number, what you posted, how many views, how many shares, how many comments, like how many like all this stuff. I don't understand most of it, but I was able to do
makes me
that
feel better.
for the year. I downloaded it, and by the way, I didn't do this for you guys. In order
No,
to
I know
do
you
this,
didn't. You
but
did
I
it
also
for
didn't do
yourself.
well, I didn't do much for myself either. Nina and Joe contacted me about doing they wanted to do like a little recap for 2016 for Lindy Focus. So I was like, sure, I'll just. Well, I didn't think could prepare anything, but then I realized I could do this sort of thing, and I just kind of culled it from all my posts. So I got rid of like all my like personal bullshit and just like, well, here are like the newsy type things.
Yeah. I mean, it was really insightful because I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Or like there was a couple things where I was like, I didn't see that one. I
Are you
didn't know
talking
that
about the video last night? Is that what
No,
you're talking
no.
about?
We're talking about the
just
spreadsheet.
the
The spreadsheet that Jerry had.
Yeah.
The homework.
Sorry.
Yeah. And we went through it before we jumped on here. So we feel like we kind of got a handle of some of the things that we want to talk about the most, and then we'll follow it up with just kind of a couple of quick bits and give our two cents about what we think about certain subjects. So the first one we want to jump into is an ILHC recap of this year, which this year was, I mean, continuing from 2015, like the a little bit year of weird, and then on top of that, like just like such a good atmosphere for a lot of people to just throw down some awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And one routine in particular that we all feel that encapsulated ILHC and that was just a huge standout hit was Remy Ramona with and remind me the name of the song, Nina Simone's. Great podcast so far, guys.
Oh, look, okay.
Was it Love Me or Leave Me?
No,
It's-
it was not Love Me or
it's-
Leave Me.
that's the
my
only one.
baby
the
just
first one I
cares
Yeah.
for me.
There we go.
My baby just cares for me.
Thank you. See, I knew
Uh,
we could do it, guys. Thank
it's
you.
New
Love Me or
Year's
Leave Me was the
Eve.
first one that came to my mind. I'm
We're-
like, that's
Yeah.
not it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought too. I was like, I can't think of a single one of her songs.
Yeah, exactly.
We're tired. We're tired.
So it was that routine, and Remy and Ramona really did something special with it. And before we go into it, because like I feel like we're gonna start seeing this a lot more, especially in the coming year, is a lot of people reusing songs we've seen in past routines. Because I mean, even Remy would have been like already saying like, I know it's been used and maybe people don't really respect it as they did before when back then, which is like over 10 years ago. And even Ramona forgot she had done something to that song, like a routine to that
Oh,
song.
really?
Yeah, the juniors division like
Yeah.
a million years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, no way. No, I never heard this song before. Like it's Remy tells it the best. But yeah, so what was some of the highlights of that routine for you guys, Jerry?
I mean, it was beautiful. It was like one of those routines, which is honestly like, I see a lot of Lindy Hop routines. Like, oh, that was pretty badass. Oh, that was kind of awesome. Like, this is one of those few routines where you're looking at like, this is genuinely beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was hands down, like in my opinion, the best performance of the year. Like,
Yes.
like there are other great performances this year, but like they didn't really come close. Like it was, And part of what made it beautiful was like it was super daring.
Yeah, it really was.
It was very bold.
It really was because like they were going because like the year before they did something so special with their routine, which was like awesome energy and throwing it out so much more like in your face type thing, and it's encapsulated that. I mean, talking about 2015 with Remy and Ramona, was like they would come out to the crowd and they would like split and they would like. You had to move your head to see
They're all over
both
the
of them.
place.
Yeah, they're all over the place, all over the floor. And in this one, they made it feel more intimate. They made draw people in. I mean, they use the dance floor. They can't help it. If they got a dance floor, they're going to try to use it as much as they can. But they use it in such a special way, really close together. They never went too far away.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that I think is really good. What about you, Rachel?
I thought it was just really honest and intimate.
Yeah,
Like I thought I
it
was
really was.
looking in on something that like I was lucky enough to like catch a glimpse of it. Like I was like walking down a hallway and saw a cracked door and I like peeked through the crack and like saw this amazing thing happening.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt like.
I really loved it too because they did matching like tuxedo type thing.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't know, something about that. It was just really cool because like I didn't see genders. I didn't see, I just saw it like bring it together. You know, like it was just, again, like you said, Jerry, it's like a beautiful thing because them wearing that together brought it even closer and as in like they're moving as one person or one thing.
It was now that you say that, I think that wearing the tuxedos was a really interesting choice because it kind of makes them as people not matter.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's about the dancing. Whereas like so many times, what you wear really defines who you are as a person or makes you stand out as a person, and this just kind of like took them as people a step back.
Yeah.
I think that really that emphasizes the way that performance and that song, like that performance was intimate.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't romantic. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't like something that, oh, there's a man and a woman and this is like a very sentimental song.
No.
No, it wasn't. It was a beautiful performance by two people.
It really was.
It was intimate as like deep feels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
intimate in the sense of like almost like watching a band or musician that usually plays like stadiums play like your local cafe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Bruce
It was-
Springsteen.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And just like breaking it down for you. Here's
Thanks,
here's
Bruce.
a couple things. And of course, I mean, it goes without saying, of course, those two dancers have a very specific style, very specific personality, and they were still able to shine those moments. Like specifically for me, is it brings a smile to my face when Ramona is like kicking her foot way up and like bringing her hand to her face and like doing this very dramatic movement that like fit. But like it didn't match exactly what the music was saying because it has its vocalist, right? But it matched the tone of it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's his moments that are very dramatic because Nina Simone was
Dramonic.
Uh,
Huh?
oh,
Huh?
Rachel, I'm too tired to react to that, but that was funny.
I only said it
that was
because
funny.
you
Did I say
were
it?
like in the middle of misspeaking. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well then,
That's your fault.
I
Yeah, it's
hope
all
when
your
I
fault.
hope when I hear this back, guys, that I'm like, oh my God, Mikey, you are horrible right now. No one understands you. But I usually say that anyways. But yeah, so that was amazing, and I would say as well, hands down, probably one of the best. I just like it occurred in my head just as you were saying that. I was like, what else? And like the next one, and I'm just only talking about this real quick, is Sky and Sylvia.
oh, yeah.
Their little
yeah.
routine.
Oh,
Their little
yeah.
routine, because I think that's a very, very close second. I mean, Sky's
Yeah.
in there, and Sky is definitely amazing. But you know what? I feel like that routine was just like an homage to Sylvia because it
Yeah.
had every
Oh, yeah,
part
yeah.
of her. Had
Yeah.
every part of her dancing career, dancing life in there. And they did a little bit of Carolina Shed. They did
Yeah.
a little
Yep.
bit of like the hustle stuff. They did some of the jazz stuff. You know, like it was just so beautiful. Like the really close connection stuff. So like kind of reminiscent of
Yeah.
Balboa. Excuse me. Sorry. And it was to like a very surprising song. I feel like that was a Frank Sinatra song.
It was a Frank Sinatra
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. I was like, wow. And it was so pretty. And they just did it at Snowball as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
they
I
did.
Yeah,
saw
they
that.
redid it. And
Aw.
it's like it's just so good. It got even better. And I was like, wow. It makes me cry because I love Sylvia. She
Yeah.
supported me since I was a boy.
Oh, a wee one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gave me a clipboard and says, "Here, learn how to judge, and then I'll come back and I'll give you notes on that." And I was like, "What the fuck is she talking about?"
Just throw you into
even
the
mean?
deep end.
Yeah, she threw me in the deep end, and then I was like writing notes, and she came back. She's like, "Why did you write this? What does this mean? How did you score them, and why did you score them?" And I was like, "I don't know. Leave me alone."
I'm
over
a
there."
baby.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I realize now that, of course, like
Yeah.
she just threw me in the deep end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, moving back on to ILHC, we're gonna move on to a specific thing that you wrote here about the classic division, the open classic division, and why it was so special. Mainly because it was the first contest of the weekend,
Yeah.
and it was on Thursday night.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the way the event was designed this past year is that it opened with the Open Classic Division prelims. And that was, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff at ILHC. Someone had to go first. And
Right.
it's like there was no social dancing beforehand.
Yeah, it's the name of the game.
The competitors had to warm up on their own. So literally everyone was cold at the very beginning because we cranked down the air conditioning as low as possible because we're expecting all those people to be in that room.
Right.
So it's chilly. Everyone's just kind of huddled in. They're all disoriented from flying in from wherever. Judges are like, literally, it's the first thing that
Yeah.
they're doing. And so there were about, oh man, it was
20 something, maybe?
not quite. Well,
Oh.
no, you're right.
it
Maybe
was
there was
like
about
22 or
20.
something.
Yeah.
22, 24, something like that.
20.
It was a hefty
couples.
division.
It was
Yeah.
a lot. It was a lot. Now, this is why we have two divisions now.
Right.
Um,
And prelims.
And prelims. Yeah, so it's a huge division. So like the first bunch of people went out. They look, most of them, not all of them, most of them were cold. They were stiff. The crowd was just kind of like sitting on their hands because literally you're just trying to stay warm. And everyone, they did all right, but it wasn't. It's just a tough atmosphere to perform in. And then Mandy and Danny came out. They were almost exactly in the middle of that division,
Right.
and the way they performed, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the song, maybe it was the performance, or just the way they were carrying themselves. But suddenly, like they got the crowd going, and the crowd got pumped up, and like everyone started clapping their hands, and everyone's just kind of like they were just kind of getting into it.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was a great performance. But like after that, the crowd was warmed up, so they were a lot more receptive to like everything that happened. And also the competitors that performed behind them also were just kind of a little bit more amped
Yeah.
on the floor. I mean, I don't know like what was feeding what, but like it was very, in retrospect, you look at the scores because most of the people who made the finals came in the second half of that division.
So
Yeah, that's
interesting.
crazy.
That's so interesting.
And there was like, and I don't want to say like they were better,
Right.
Their better performances or choreographies, but like I think somehow Mandy and Danny just kind of like
Upped it up.
They were
Cranked it
the
up.
icebreakers of the night.
Yeah.
I remember seeing their performance, and I think part of it was their song was really high energy,
Yeah.
and it was fun, and it was easily digestible.
Yeah, it was a clapping song.
Yeah, it was like a fun clapping song, and Mandy is singing while she's dancing.
Yeah.
Which I think
I love
is
that.
like it's just indicative of how much fun they were actually having
Yeah,
while they
yeah,
were
they were into
performing.
it.
And they are just like crowd favorites as well. Like
Oh, yeah.
I think they connected with so many of the people that were there because like they're close friends and they probably all drove in together.
Yeah.
You know.
Big crowd favorites.
Yeah, and that along with that with just like the tone of the weekend, someone had to go first, like you said.
Yeah.
And then, you know, people were there. I remember being there specifically for that routine because I remember going, oh my gosh, Thursday night. Okay, and who's even here?
Yeah.
Besides those people that are in the contest, and it was kind of like half and half. Like half
Yeah.
the room was waiting in the back, and half the room was actually in the front. So I remember being there for that routine and being there for most of the competition, trying to give my support. It just kind of happened. Like I was just like, oh, okay, might as well be here. Like do this thing. And then I remember that came out. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Everybody woke up just all the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really good. So noticing that after the fact that you saw that most of the people that came after them placed or rather got into the finals. Do you think, when this is for everybody, do you think it was just kind of like maybe that they helped out? That the Mandy and Danny were like, okay, yeah, let's pump this up, and now everybody else behind them were like, yeah, let's pump this up like even more.
Totally.
Have you
think
ever seen that? Like you spend
Yeah.
a lot of time in the back. Like you
Yeah.
spend pictures. Like have you ever seen them get pumped up off of another routine?
It happens a lot during the team division because there's so many people
Right.
back there, especially at the very beginning. And like, there's so many nerves. There's so many people, so many nerves, and everyone's clumped in their corner. And everyone's kind of like everyone has their like interesting ritual to get ready for their performance. But usually, like after the first performance, and not everyone gets to see. Not everyone in the back gets to
Right.
see. But if the crowd, like this past year, this isn't on the list, but this past year, special.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
Pause. I mean, that's fine.
Housekeeping is knocking on the door.
Just for the record, Mikey Pedroza does need housekeeping.
He really does need
desperately in this
housekeeping
room.
badly. It's a disaster in here.
Cutting everything that you guys just said. So team division.
So
Go.
team division, like so this year, I think Special Delivery Stomp went first, and then if you've seen that routine, like it's big.
It's a power packer.
Yeah, it's a power packer, and like
Seriously.
that crowd amps up the crowd a lot.
Yeah.
and then they come back and they're all amped and everyone's giving that. My favorite part is when a team comes back and everyone's giving high fives and they're applauding each other in the back. It's,
Good.
so that happens actually quite frequently during the team division at ILH. It's like one of my favorite times to be in the back.
That's cool.
At that event.
That's cool.
I remember doing that.
Yeah,
Back in my
the day.
Groove Juice special days.
So long ago.
We our best routine that we brought to ILHC, I think we were the first ones out there, and we had a lot of energy, and the crowd got really excited, and then the rest of the division went super well, and as soon as we got off the stage, we were like jumping up and down and like hugging each other
Yeah.
and like, wow,
Yeah.
exhilaration.
So I wonder if it was that. Like maybe it was. Maybe I mean it was the dance. It was the performance. It was the feeling of the crowd. But maybe when Danny and Mandy went backstage, maybe they continued that. They're like, yeah, and like they had more friends, and so like they kind of get everybody pumped
Possibly.
up. That kind of like
I mean,
adrenaline kind of got
what
out.
I imagine is that like people were watching through the cracks of the curtains, or they were hearing the crowd respond.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "Oh, things are getting exciting." And then when Mandy and Danny came back and they were like all pumped and exhilarated, everybody was like, "Oh man, good job! That was so badass! You were awesome!" Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The crowd went wild over you, and then like that automatically, like that positivity brings everybody else up.
Yeah. I mean, that's good stuff.
Well, the other thing is that a lot of those the performances in that particular division were interesting. And they were very thoughtful. And it was very like they were not quite as intimate as Remy and Ramona, but everyone was going for more people were going for art than they were going for like let's go please the crowd.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing, but
Sometimes it doesn't land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it was harder to get the audience involved because the audience is just kind of looking and like,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Good
that.
choice. Good choice.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like that's what I said before. Is like continue the year of weird. Like the ideas of just trying just different things and understanding that it may not always land. But I think as long as you're trying to push it forward and still realizing the legacy and the whole history of the dance and trying to bring that with you as you're doing this thing, trying to push it forward, trying to evolve. I think you're staying in the spirit of it. So moving on past that, kind of the idea of wavelengths in our community. Like I think every year we kind of see the ILHC and we see the wavelength and we start moving and grooving to it. Some years it's the chase.
Yeah.
Other times it's I don't know, big ass aerials or something like that.
The surprise swing out.
The surprise swing out. And this year was for sure the solo dance contest. Which is, I think do you guys still call it the Charleston contest?
It's solo jazz.
The solo jazz? Okay, cool. They guys changed it finally. Jesus. Okay,
That competition was stacked with so many amazing dancers.
So many.
I saw everybody
people.
line up and I was like, oh dear God, this room is going to explode.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever seen that many people for prelims in that room, like audience members, you know?
Oh yeah,
because there was
word spread.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were on the same wavelength, and this happens, and that's such a great thing to see in the community. If you can able to see that, then you can jump into it and see what you can get out of it as well. And I mean, like it was stacked with so many professional dancers and newcomers, but also everybody in the middle. But the thing was, it was like 3 or 4 heats of like 20 plus people each heat.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy. And I know a lot of people and announcers always say, like, I don't want to be those judges. And I'm like, that's so funny. But at this time, I'm like, yeah, I really don't want to be. Yeah, because that is really hard. You don't have anybody to depend on like we do in partner dances, right? So when you're out there by yourself, you're out there by yourself.
Yeah.
That's what scares me so much. Like that's probably like the biggest reason why I've never done a solo contest because I always feel like I have my partner there to rely on for like comfort, like a comfort blanket. When I'm out there by myself, I feel like I'm just like walking around naked. Yeah.
I mean,
that's scary.
Even with that, like that fear, like I add on top of that. Like when Yehudi would do the live broadcast and people were all around the world were watching, it was like every time I was on there or anybody was on there, I was just thinking like these are the only people dancing in the world right now. Like as in like the Lindy Hop world, like these are the like it used to be just like these are the only people dancing in the room. Yeah, and it was like these are the only people dancing in the whole Lindy Hop community.
I've never thought about it that way before.
And when it comes, oh man, I thought about it a lot.
Thank you for making everything so much scarier for me.
Yeah, exactly. See, like I told you, like add on to that feeling. And in the solo dance contest, especially in the finals, you're all by yourself there.
Yeah.
With a band, luckily, which is awesome. But some of the standouts for the finals for me, which was, oh my gosh, so hard. And I can't believe some people made it in there because I was just like surprised, but also at the same time, like, yeah, these guys are amazing. These guys work on their craft. So some of the standouts for me was like Vincenzo and Naomi. Because Vincenzo is like, for me, he's a legend for me because he would come out to L.A. and dance with a bunch of us, and he barely knew English. but he knew the style.
Yeah.
He knew
Yeah.
what we were
Yeah.
going for,
Yeah.
so he was like, yeah. And so it's fun to see him grow into this dancer that's taking ballet lessons and trying to add into his Lindy Hop, or add it into his Lindy Hop, and his solo dancing. And he's tried it before and it didn't land, but I feel like this year it landed. And like there's a couple moves I was like, damn boy, that
Yeah.
worked. And the same thing with Naomi, because like Naomi, I was just like, she did some stuff that were like comedic.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
really
she
funny.
was funny.
Yeah, it was really funny because I'm like, I've seen that a few times, and if you're lucky enough to be around her when she feels comfortable enough, she'll let you see that side as well. But I think for her to do it in front of everybody like that, I was just like, damn, that was in essence that was kind of intimate as well, because she like trusted everybody enough to be like, I'm gonna be funny with you guys.
She seemed particularly relaxed
Yeah.
in that competition.
But I'm sure she had
wasn't.
crazy nerves too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seemed like it. You're cool as a cucumber as soon as they say 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But I think she like compensates compensates well by it channeling that energy into interacting. She's locked into the competition, so the reason the humor comes out because she's interacting with the soloist came before,
Yeah.
and kind of setting up the person after her.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's from her musical training now with her band and everything, and learning from them.
Yeah.
Learning how to lead.
very
and everything.
cooperative.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very cooperative, and that same thing that you just said has been said to me by many of the band members in Jonathan's band, and especially Albert Alva. He's
Yeah.
like, if I hear a sour note and I'm playing next, I'm listening to that sour note. I'm going, I'm gonna do it and then make it better, so I can kind of like win a little bit. You
Yeah.
know? Like, because
Yeah.
even the soloists up on the bandstand are kind of like not fighting against each other, but also just kind of like playful rivalry.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah.
Oh, we finally got Rachel singing on this one.
Taking a little while.
So good. But so ILHC, all those clips are online. Remy and Rona, Manny and Danny, the solo dance contest, prelims and finals, and of course we talked about Sylvia and Sky. We're gonna move on now to the aftermath of like ILHC. There was a post by Mike Faltasak, which is always a fun thing about how to be a little more inclusive with. The people that may not always feel like it in the community. And he points out that maybe some people that feel like maybe they're African American or a little bit elderly or LGBTQIA plus people maybe not always feel so empowered to take part in the dance contest or in the dance scene because they feel separate. But he's asking everybody to be more of an ambassador. After ILHC, he felt the need to post something about this and be like, let's all be ambassadors. Just do that extra step forward.
Yeah.
So what about that kind of made you, Jerry, want to put that in the review in general? In general, what stood out
Your
about
Well,
it?
like it stood out because a lot of people after a competition, it's like, well, that was a great performance and they did really well, or they did pretty badly, and Faulty, like kind of like zoomed it out because everyone is at that point is looking at one point,
Right.
and I think we're sort of maturing as a scene where it's just not about winning first place, but some of us have been around, like we're trying to build something a little bit more interesting, and the contests are exciting. The contests like get people in the room. Somebody was noticing this week for the underground contest at Lindy Focus, like. I would be in there, I would dance, there would be plenty of room to swing out, and then a couple songs before the contest, like everyone comes in from the blues room, everyone comes in from like all over the hotel.
Yeah.
They bring people in, but what's the measure of our community is what we're going to do with that energy and that when everyone's paying attention. It's like maybe we should redirect that to being more inclusive, or encouraging safe spaces, or just be a little bit more community minded than saying, well, that one person or that couple did really well. Like they did, but like what else is there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like using the energy to be like, yeah, they did good, but now let's use this, like you said, like kind of like they focus on one thing, and they kind of like a broader idea of it, like how to use this energy as opposed to just kind of like focus on one person, focus on the entire scene and community minded building.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us can really relate to that because, I mean, in my position, I feel like it's like a karmic thing. Like if you, as long as you can push something into the scene, it'll give back to you. It'll give something back to you. And so what I think is in this sense, what Mike is saying is that we could try a little bit harder.
Yeah.
He's not saying like everybody go out there and find a new friend and bring them to the dance floor. No,
Yeah.
I feel like he even talks about the juniors in here and how people like Valerie and Nina and Tina and Matt Ritchie from California brought in a whole bunch of kids this year, and that is very special too, because I know as a kid, for me, for whatever reason, I was actually I do know why. I had an older brother that would get me in to like the cool kids, like the older kids. So that not a lot of people have that, and so they just have themselves. And when you put a room of kids, teenagers to 10-year-olds basically in a room together, and you give them dancing, something really magical actually does happen. Like it really brings them all together. And these are kids from all over the country, East Coast to West Coast. Like it was magical. So you will see positives if you bring people together that are like-minded with having that common ground of Lindy Hop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to move on from there in that same vein of taking an extra step forward as a community. The next thing I want to talk about is the idea this year we've all talked about it in many different ways, many different aspects, and in many ways it is true, in many ways it is not true. But in this one sense, for our community, a lot of people have been speaking up and speaking out against rape culture, and speaking in defense of code of conduct and safe spaces. And someone like Joe Hofberg and Kevin St. Laurent have been really, really vocal on Facebook and also in person, as in dance events they go to talk to people about the idea of rape culture, and it is prevalent, and why it's prevalent in the world and also in our small subculture of community of Lindy Hop. I think that's a really amazing thing, because Jerry, I'm gonna kind of quote you a little bit right here of what you said is basically sometimes dance instructors usually try to avoid controversial issues in order to maintain maximum markability. I mean, that is true. Like you said it before. I think kind of instructors just come in sometimes and just like, I'm just gonna do this much and then take off. Yeah. Right. So how do you feel about that beyond what you wrote here?
Well, that's it's part of that interesting thing and that's the question that I submitted, which we won't discuss, but I'll just touch on it. That the scene is maturing in a certain extent, and so people are just keeping or have a better eye for the wider impact of what their actions are. Mm-hmm. So it's good to see instructors and organizers be a little bit more. Not just concentrate on the bottom line about what they can get out of it, rather than like this is more. It becomes a little bit more about what they can leave behind.
Totally.
Especially speaking as a dance instructor, and I feel like, you can say dance instructor or organizer or whatever, but like it's really just a scene leader. Mm-hmm. It is a scene leader. I think sometimes we use that term scene leader as in the local level, mm-hmm. and just affecting kind of a certain region. But I think in this level as well, as event organizers and dance instructors that do this professionally full time, they're scene leaders as well. So they're kind of like, in some sense of the word, a role model to the rest of the scene. And so taking that extra step is what I mean by speaking out about it, mm-hmm. talking about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things are hidden, and there's like, oh, we don't talk about that because we don't want to scare people. I'm like, actually, it's pretty much everywhere. Yeah. So why can't we just talk about it and have a civil conversation about it? And something that they're doing here at Lindy Focus is they're forward thinking in the sense of like they're bringing it out in the public. They introduced Marley, which mm-hmm. is the Safe Spaces coordinator here at Lindy Focus. Like they brought her out and she talked on the microphone. Everyone saw her. They heard her voice. They saw that she has a phone on her at all times and that where to find her number and who to ask for. Like, who that is. It's really important, not in the sense of like, if anything happens, even though that's partially it, but I feel like it's more of like, it's an empowering thing. You have someone to talk to that is a part of the organization, but not an instructor, not an organizer, not a scene leader you've seen before, just someone that is there and that is trained to help deal with conflict resolution.
They're like sort of an ombudsman for the event.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But also, I just want to point out that she's this isn't just a random person. I think Marley has some sort of professional training, mental health training.
I think
Exactly.
that's what she does for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So that makes it even more
So it's like
legitimate.
It's a serious thing to be saying. Put yourself out there to 1,000 people and say, "Hey, give me a call if you have a problem."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so sorry, I was just checking the recorders to make sure they're still good. So then we move on to like kind of code of conduct and safe spaces, because like a lot of people have been back and forth about this, and I feel like on the internet, the discussions I've been seeing, the conversations that I've been seeing, and even in person, some people don't trust it. The idea of code of conduct or safe spaces, and other people just go, "Yes, you must do it." Which is the way of the internet. I mean, you're either black or white, yes or no, and there's no gray. I'm like, actually, there is. For me personally, I think code of conduct and safe spaces is very good. It is not a fix. It is more of a first step, and I feel like. I feel very comfortable saying that because for me personally, code of conduct has affected my life and safe spaces because I was called upon at Lindy Focus a number of years ago. I wronged someone. I took complete responsibility, and I asked if I could apologize, and the person said yes, and I met with them, and I apologized, and I even before then I looked up what it meant to actually apologize for something sincerely, and what it actually was to apologize.
You
someone.
looked it up?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
Good
I
for you.
like read some stuff about like how to be an ally and how to like if you wrong somebody, if you feel like you did something, here's how you can help it, some steps you could take. And even I even came up to you, Rachel, and Brett that year that happened and be like, how would this happen in the professional world? Like somewhere that's not associated with Lindy Hop, you know? So I talked about it with close friends, and then I for me personally, like that's the system. Someone was wronged. They went up to safe spaces because they felt like someone broke the code of conduct, and the organization decided to take the side, or rather not take the side, but do the normal steps, and they confronted me with it. And I'm very grateful for that today because it informed me so much, and I feel like I was able to take more steps forward as a human being and a dancer and a scene leader to help my community move forward. And now I have a really good friendship relationship with this person, and she's helped me so much, and she's such a smart and intelligent person, and it sticks with me every day, and I'm sure it sticks with her every day. But we had another conversation here at Lindy Focus, and kind of catching up, and yeah, it's just I regret that it ever happened, but you know what? It's almost one of those things where we turned it into a positive, and now we're trying to do it. So anybody out there who's ever listening and doesn't believe in the code of conduct or safe spaces, that's fine. But just understand that it worked in my case, and I will trust it, but I will also move forward with it. What is the next step with the idea of that?
I will say that code of conduct has actually helped a lot at Lindy Groove, where people have come forward and said things about people who make them feel uncomfortable, and people have been asked to leave the dance permanently before because of the code of conduct. So
that's really good. That's really good. I mean, like as long as it's being implemented, and I think of it this way: if you go to like any nightclub in like Vegas or LA or New York or anywhere in the world, they have a very large person in the front wearing probably all black and has a little earpiece connected to somebody else that's about maybe twice as big and wearing all black and also has the earpiece, if not connected to maybe 4 other people. That to me is bouncer, right? That's the code of conduct. That's the guy that gets to decide basically like, well, you're being an idiot. You're being a fuck up. So I'm not even going to give you a chance. I'm just going to kick you out.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like that's the step closer to getting there if we need it. And the thing is as a community and Lindy Hoppers, like we are better than that. We don't need to have that person, but we can all be sort of that person together and have each other's back in the sense of like, hey, I'm gonna have your back because like you're doing the right thing, but also I'm gonna have your back if you're doing something shitty.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna call you out and be like, maybe that's not the best idea. You know, like maybe redirect you or something. You know, like help you out. So
one of the things I like to remind people is that Whitey of Whitey's Lindy Hoppers was the bouncer at the Savoy.
yeah,
So his job wasn't just fielding this dance troupe. His job was to identify trouble and get rid of it. And if you were lucky, maybe you would be able to walk away from that.
Yeah.
yeah, ex-boxer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think Frankie got kicked out before. He was in a fight. He got in a fist fight.
At the Savoy?
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
and he was
crap, I
asked to
didn't know
leave
that.
for the rest of
Is
the
that
night.
in the book?
Yeah. Pretty
Oh
sure
my
it's in the
gosh.
book. He got like in a fist fight like right at the front door.
Oh, that's crazy.
And
That's
then they were
awesome.
like, okay, you got to leave for the rest of the night.
I don't know who would fight that guy, man. He's huge. Jeez. So, I mean, and this year has also been fraught with a bunch of allegations and a bunch of just shitty things. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's like people, the majority of people on our scene are good, and they will look out for each other, and we will, in essence, kind of kick out someone out of our community if we need to.
I think the important thing to remember here is that Lindy Hoppers are still people, and we are not going to be exempt from anything that happens, in real life.
Because this is real life.
It is
Yeah.
real life.
This
Yeah.
is just a sub little part of the rest of the grander world, and yes, the grander world is not the best and not the most purest, but you know what? Like, we can try to make our world this way as good as possible, and then try to affect the other rest of the world as well.
Yeah. And I think, even myself for a really long time, I was like, oh, all Lindy Hoppers are good. I am in a completely safe space. Nothing bad will ever happen to me or anybody else because we are in a perfect, magical bubble of love and happiness. And the reality is that that's just not even true a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for people to learn that it's not just an escape.
Yeah.
People live this life and they live through it, and they've lived in it. I mean, like, I've lived in this world now more than I haven't, Yeah. So it's almost 20 years. So for me, for when people go, oh, it's my fun thing, I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's okay. And you kind of come in and you leave, and that's okay. But understand that this is still real life because, like, you're having social interactions. You're talking with people. If in anything, it's more like real life because you're connecting with them physically, emotionally, and intellectually. Like, what else is there?
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, moving on from that, unless you guys have anything else to say about that. Moving on from that into just a little bit lighter news, we have Swing the Doc came out. Swing the Documentary, which was renamed to Alive and Kicking. It was a documentary started years ago by Susan Glatzer, not sure how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. Glatzer, and she just started
the name of my people.
Totally is. And she started a Kickstarter to finally finish the project, and which she did get her, the goal? Get her goal, and it came out this past year at South by Southwest.
But we haven't seen it.
We haven't.
The three of us haven't seen it.
Yeah, the three of us haven't seen it. We saw the trailer, and the trailer is interesting because, like, obviously, Susan is looking to have this as a wide release, and looking to get more than just the swing dance community to go watch it, and more of like a general public to watch it. So the trailer is kind of silly because it hits on the kind of couple of stereotypes.
Yeah.
That,
I feel like
that us as Lindy Hoppers are trying to move past a little.
It's probably like investors or
right.
What are the people who like
The
Distributors.
Distributors
who are like, this is how it needs to be advertised.
Right.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Swing dancing is sexy.
That's the first title card that comes up when you watch this. It's within the first 30 seconds. And it kind of makes us a little cringe a little bit. But, I mean, I kind of understand it, too.
Yeah.
It's just back and forth.
Have you guys ever thought of swing dancing as sexy?
No. Never.
I mean, no.
Not the dance.
Yeah.
I mean,
itself.
it can be intimate, but that doesn't necessarily mean sexy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
When I have a conversation with somebody, that's intimate, but also that's more of like a meditation too.
Yeah.
So it's like if they said meditation, I might have been okay, cool. All right, cool. Cool. I'm
You'd be
in.
the only
Meditation's
one.
probably
Yeah.
not as sexy of a word.
Yeah,
if
I mean,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's really cool too because, like, for me, when I see this, when we saw the trailer, it's funny because it's a snapshot. Because she stopped kind of filming things because she was going around for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
A ton of events. And then she kind of stopped off and started doing it started editing it, basically putting all her stuff together. But there was in 3 years or 2 or 3 years. And those 2 or 3 years, I feel like you've been saying, Jerry, it's like our scene has gone through some growth, some evolution. And in this, it's like a good snapshot of what it was like 3 or 4 years ago and 4 or 5, 6 years ago. Because, I mean, to be honest, there's some couples dancing in there that don't dance together anymore, stuff like that is kind of
Don't talk to each
superficial.
other.
Well,
Yeah.
and the other thing is that our scene is changing so much right now that we've moved forward a lot
Yeah.
since 4 years ago.
Yeah. And it's just really cool, actually, because it is good to document that.
Yeah.
It is good to
Yeah.
document. And some people gave her some shit. Even I did give her some shit. Like, God, how long does it take to film this documentary? She just keeps filming and everything. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it does take a long time.
Documentaries often shoot for 8, 10,
Yeah,
12 years.
Yeah, it was
They take a really long time
It was my
to
complete.
make.
Yeah, it was my complete ignorance to.
They're
to
not
think
the
that
money
way.
makers
Yeah.
of the film industry.
So it premiered this year at South by Southwest, which is a big
Tech conference.
tech conference
I think.
and film.
It's a film and music festival.
Yeah. And there's a tech conference there too. To be
Yeah.
honest, there's a little bit of everything there, and so it was really cool. It got some good reviews from what I heard and what we read, and I hope it's all the best because honestly, any little bit gets us more people invested and in interested is more the better word into the dance.
You gotta get people onto the floor first
Yeah.
before we do anything
Yeah.
else.
I mean, it's swing dancing. Swing dancing? Swing dancing.
Swing dancing,
Swing dancing.
Swing dancing.
Swing dancing.
swing dancing. If you have no idea why we just did that bit, you should just watch the trailer. Okay, so now we're gonna move on into some of the quick bits, but at the same time, we're gonna talk about them however long we want.
Quick bits. They're gonna be real quick. Yeah.
You got Jerry head nodding. That's good.
I know.
That's
He
good.
was
That's good.
mopping and bopping over there.
So the first one we're going to talk about is Swing, which is a short film. I forgot again to look for who directed it and produced it, but it features London dancers Michaela and Rupert. And Jerry, you said something really great about this because I want to say I don't want to repeat that. It's kind of like the good anecdote or about where we are now.
An antidote to the Swing the documentary
To
trailer.
sexy.
Yeah, to the
Yeah.
trailer,
The
to the trailer,
sexiness of swing
because
dancing.
it's like 3 or 4 minutes, it's 2 or 3 minutes actually.
long at all.
It's not long at
Yeah.
all. It's all in slow motion. It's done all outside of a ballroom, which is
Yeah.
great, and it's done with just the Michaela and Rupert's voiceovers, and they're talking about dancing in so many different ways, how it affected their lives, how it keeps affecting their lives, and the feelings they get, the ideas they get. And it really encapsulates in so many different ways about how so many people see this dance.
I really love how simple it is,
Yeah.
because it's in slow motion and there's nothing fancy going on. Whereas in contrast, Swing the Doc shows a lot of aerials and flying around and people laughing and
Really
cheering
big
and,
swing music.
and the color is very saturated.
Yeah.
Everything's very colorful. Whereas
there's
this
no-
is muted and quiet
Yeah.
and very introspective. And they're not even dancing to swing. There's not even swing
like an
music
orchestra.
in the. Yeah, it's Shavasana
Yeah.
music.
Number 9.
What do you want to listen
Yeah.
to when you're doing yoga?
But it's such a cool film. Try to go check it out and give it some likes and share it because I think someone will find it because I tear up every time I look at it because I'm just it affects me so much because I've invested so much of my life and so have these dancers and so have us at this table have invested so much that it's good to hear and remind ourselves that we're not alone even though we're surrounded by people who like-minded, but when you hear it like that so focused, it's really nice.
Well,
to
I
hear.
think it really resonates with a lot of Lindy Hoppers who are, feeling at least moderately serious about the dance.
Yeah.
It just rings true to how everyone feels. And now that I say that, I actually wonder how a non-dancer would view this. Would they even find it interesting?
That would be really interesting. I mean, if anybody out there is listening and wanna show that
If
to
anyone's
somebody.
listening who has never done Lindy Hop, please message us.
We
How
know-
how did you find us? That is
Our
amazing.
podcast is so popular, so all of those non-dancers listening.
All those non-dancers.
Go
But if
check
you are
out
a
the
dancer,
short
if you
film.
are a dancer and you would check it out, show a non-dancer and ask them, and then let us know.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, we have Dori Segev. Segev? That's your people again.
It's like Negev,
Okay.
but with an S, which
Segev.
is a river in Israel.
He was given a title of being one of the 100 top global thinkers.
Yes.
By what
Foreign
magazine?
Policy magazine, which is a very one of the main publications about
Foreign policy.
He was also listed as China's #1 sexiest surgeon.
I didn't realize that
man.
list existed.
Yeah,
by the way.
I love
I
it.
didn't
I love
realize
it.
it existed either until he shared
Yeah.
If-
that little
Because why
tidbit.
wouldn't
so
you share
great.
that?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm serious. I would. But if you don't know, sorry, Dory, him and his wife Summer created an algorithm.
So there are a couple things that he's being recognized for.
Yeah.
In the past, they created an algorithm that made it possible for kidney transplants and donors to be matched up more efficiently.
So
But-
essentially saving so many more lives.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for this, he and his medical partner devised. Well, first, so I'm gonna probably butcher
Go
this.
for
so
it.
Like,
Go for it.
So like transplants between HIV positive patients were banned outright many years ago. And that didn't. That was just one of those reflexive things that happened after the AIDS epidemic
epidemic,
broke out. And so, but now you had all these like HIV positive people who were not eligible for transplants, but they could be eligible. There could be more matches,
Right.
if they were allowed to transplant between each other. And so first, what he did was he actually got legislation passed through Congress and signed by the president to repeal the previous ban. Which, by the way, if you've seen how our government works, getting any kind of legislation through the past 6 years or so is a monumental achievement. And that guy, who is not a lobbyist or anything, like looked at the system and just like, well, this is how we're going to craft a bill. This is who we're going to go to. And like that in itself was monumental. But then they devise the actual procedures for actually doing this, which is not transplanting organs between people is not simple.
Yeah.
But then transplanting between two HIV positive patients also takes some other technical technical and medical biological issues that Dory and his team figured out as well.
That's such an amazing thing because, like, I mean, with the initial like helping out, match more donors and people that need kidney transplants from like 60 to like 600 a year,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
with plus this,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
That's crazy.
he's literally. I mean, of course, with
He's
being a
saving
surgeon,
lives.
he's saving lives. Like, he is saving
what he
lives,
does.
and some people he'll probably never meet too because like he's just creating this whole idea first of it. So we want to send a big shout out to Dory Segev, which he also holds the title for being the only attendee of Lindy Focus to be kicked out of the hotel, which is a prestigious title.
Yeah.
And to crawl his way back in.
Yeah, I know, it really did. Moving on from that, we have Frankie Manning Doodle. On May 26th, 2016, Frankie Manning finally got his Google Doodle.
And it was so cute.
It was beautiful. It was simple, and it was drawn. It would look like it was just a little cartoon, and they're dancing, and there's music to it.
Yeah.
And they do a couple aerials. You know, that's beyond all of his accomplishments. I think that is one of the biggest things. Being the first person to throw their partner in the air,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
in this syncopated way, like in swing dancing, which, by the way, was what Jonathan Stout was alluding to on Chick Web Night, that they had that one-to-one
Oh, yeah.
thing, because it says, you know, history says, you know, like
Yeah.
legend holds that when the contest that he did it, that Frankie Manning did his around the back move with Anne. Damn it, we forgot who it was. his partner.
I think it was Anne.
Oh, I think it was Anne. Okay, so everybody got the same song except when Frankie went out there with his partner. Chick Webb yelled from the bandstand, "Frankie, what song do you want?" And he said, "Down South Camp Meeting." And so it was changed to that song. So it's like his epic idea that like when you hear this song, it's like that was the song. You know? I don't know if they played it the other day. I don't remember.
Yeah, they did.
Did they play it?
They so
Okay.
did.
Okay, good. I
'Cause
don't
that's
remember.
when he talked about it, isn't it?
I don't know. I thought he was gonna play that one, and he played Lindy Hopper's Delight instead. I think.
Mikey's brain is mush. He
I'm
only had an
bushed.
hour of sleep, you
I'm
guys.
bushed. I'm bushed. Okay, so anyways, that happened, and that was so amazing. It was beautiful. There's so many people that tried so many years to petition for that, and it's so glad. If you get a chance, go check out Google and just type in Doodle. You'll see that they used to just do one at a time on different days, and then they started doing one in different regions depending on what was more important to the region. And then now they have a ton of things, like at least 5 a day that they do. So it's just one of those ways to pay homage to people in such a simple way but meaningful as well. Moving on from that, we have Norma Miller being presented with a letter from President Obama at the International Swing Dance Championships. This is really cool because Norma Miller, for all of her outspokenness and willingness to say basically whatever comes to her mind, is rewarded with this letter from President Obama, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, she deserves it, man. She's been a huge advocate for swing dancing and people joining in, and especially the African American culture. Like she's trying to get as much people in there as possible. So moving on from that, we have the Chick Webb, which we got to experience.
And it was so awesome.
Yeah, the Indiegogo project to transcribe all of Chick Webb's music, or most of Chick Webb's music, not all of it, right?
Yeah.
They
at least
picked
30 some odd songs.
Yeah. And they started Indiegogo, which the Gamblers had started and talked about last year, right? Last year at the end.
At the very end of
So it
Lindy
was
Focus.
exactly like a year apart,
Yeah.
and that's so amazing. And we got to see it. And if you want to see it, you could check out YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's under the Lindy Focus. Subscription user channel, and you'll see the whole live thing, and you'll even see probably some of us in there bobbing our heads in the front, and cheering and going crazy. I saw Jerry. I saw you.
One other thing I wanted to add is that for the Chick Webb night, all through the week, people are just kind of hanging out by the stage, admiring the band.
Yeah, of course
as they should, because they're great musicians. But the Chick Webb night, before the band started, there must have been a couple hundred people just huddled around the bandstand, like waiting.
It was crazy. And because so many people were huddled around the bandstand, there was actually a lot more space to dance.
Yeah, there was. I remember. That was cool. So that was good. That was amazing. Again, check it out on YouTube and and enjoy it from there because it was something to behold when you were there. Another thing that happened was that Chaz Young, Frankie Manning's son, suffered a pulmonary embolism in this year, and they started kind of a crowdfunding thing. I think it was care.org or something like that, and they helped paid for his medical expenses, and it started with Andy Reid putting out a very eloquent post about Chaz and what he meant to the community, and it included a link to that crowdfunding to take care of his medical expenses. And he is back. He's up and dancing again in Vegas.
That's awesome.
Because he lives in Las Vegas, which is awesome and weird at the same time. but yeah, we wish him all much more speedy recovery and all the best. And that man is amazing. I don't know if you know. I didn't say this last time, but I just remembered there was a moment where we left Harang and we were on the same car and we fell asleep. We get to the airport. We're waiting there for an hour. We're waiting in the lounge and we're just hanging out. Just me and him. I've never hung out with him before. Chaz, I mean. And he's telling me some stories about Frankie, like in this kind of like very easy conversational way, as opposed to like the big on stage, kind of thing. That man is amazing. His relationship with his father goes so much more deeper than we can possibly imagine. And I hope someday he feels comfortable enough to share that with the rest of the community. I don't feel like comfortable enough to actually say what the stories were, but really, I hope one day we can see that, because I think it'll give us a really nice, well-rounded picture of what we consider our legend in our dance scene, Frankie Manning, what Chaz Young had seen him as, father, friend, best friend, and also kind of charity. So, that's really great. We wish him all the best. Moving on from that, we lost a couple of dance legends this year. One of them being Dawn Hampton, and the other one being David Dean Rafferty. Dawn Hampton, of course, being a legendary member of her family's band, and moving on to having her own success, and also, little known fact, erotic writing books.
Or erotic
books.
novels.
Erotic novels. She wrote those.
Really?
Yeah, I think she
Not know
wrote
this
two.
part.
She wrote two, I think, or maybe
I
it's
didn't know
short
that.
stories. Yeah.
Were they successful?
I mean, people bought them at Harangue. Yeah.
That
they were on sale.
is
I'm pretty sure.
so funny and so weird.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still there. Like, if you go this next year to the Hop Shop, which is the little shop they have in Harangue, you can buy the book. Yeah.
Were those things that
That's
she wrote
funny.
recently, or like when she was?
I don't remember. I mean, it sounded pretty like a little bit earlier, maybe like 90s or something.
You know, somehow I'm like so not surprised by
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I know.
I'm like,
I mean,
well,
that woman
sounds
makes
about
perfect
right.
sense.
that woman was amazing, and like such a feminist before like anybody knew the word. You know, like
Oh,
pushing
yeah.
forward and just doing the things that she wanted to do, talking the way she wanted to talk. Dawn Hampton, of course, such a legend in her own right, but also legend for us Lindy Hoppers, because she taught us the idea of musicality. I feel like. I mean, I know you've probably sat in those
yeah,
in those
the
musicality
Bagger- the
classes.
Bagger
Did you ever
class.
take one?
Yeah, I took
Yeah.
one. It was my first big event, which was Lindy Fest in 2007. And I took her class, and she went. Well, first of all, she talked about how she always puts cornmeal down on the floor, and she puts pantyhose over her shoes so that she gets like
Slide.
good slide.
Yeah.
And then she danced to Bhangra,
Yeah.
and which is like this this Indian song,
Yeah.
which is awesome. And she hardly moved at all. She just like mostly like turns and like
Yeah.
poses and stops. But it's everything in her face. Like she's just
Sells it.
she
owns it.
sells it.
Yeah, it's so true, and that idea alone, without having to do much, taught us so much as Lindy Hoppers, informed us as dancers, and really gave us another path to take when it came to dancing to certain music. Along with that, like if you go online, you might find some old school stuff of her dancing at the Cat Club.
Oh.
Yeah, like, and there's some stuff. I know I have a video in my archive that I haven't released yet, but there's a reason, because my hard drive died, but I can get it back, so it's still up in the air. That'll come out.
Technology.
Yeah, exactly. And the fucking way she moved was so fast, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
and that
She
stuff
moved
was
so
not
fast.
that long ago.
No, it wasn't. Not at all. Like in the 90s, if that. And then we lost also David Dean Rafferty. You might just know him as Dean Rafferty. He was a Balboa legend, especially in Pure Bal. And my personal experience with him wasn't too much, but he suffered some kind of stroke-like thing that happened to him. He was already 90.
Yeah. That's
And,
so old.
and he was still going around to all the clubs and all the dances that he could, driving himself before that. So he suffered this thing, and he came up, and some people from his family and friends reached out to me. They said they knew someone, and he was actually in one of my aunt's homes, elderly care homes, for a while until he got much better. And he used to talk about dancing. He used to tell all the other people he lived with about it. And in his final years, my other aunt took care of him as just a caretaker in his own home every once in a while when he needed it. And it was so nice because he actually became part of my family, because he would come out to my aunt would take him to like cookouts, like barbecues.
That's so cute.
I'd arrive late, like I do, and I'd be like, "Hey, Tia, hey, my cousins, hey, John, my brother, and Dean." Like, hey, Dean.
Are you part of my
yeah, and it was so funny. I mean, he was still so sharp. It just is unfortunate that his body was given up, and I'm sure he did not want to go. And so we'll miss him a lot. And Cowbell is coming up, and we will do something very, very sweet for him. That's the unfortunate part of living in our community that has legends like this. It's time. It's precious time.
The circle of life.
It really does.
You know?
One thing I wanted to add about both of them, I didn't know Dean myself, but the thing that struck me about everyone remembering about him was a lot of, especially people from SoCal, would relate some sort of personal anecdote, like where Dean would come up to him and talk to them about their dancing. It's like what they were doing wrong. He'd be very pointed about it.
Yeah,
I think that's something that I hope. I kind of wish people, not just instructors, but just pretty much everyone around. I mean, there's this because of the way social media works. There's this compulsion to say, "Well, I have a thought about dancing, something I've seen about dancing. I'm just gonna post it on the internet." Right. But like, it's obvious in a lot of cases that they have a specific problem with someone's dancing. Like, maybe it would be a lot more helpful for people to just like be human beings to each other and go up and say, hey Mikey, like your swing out's pretty good except for that other thing. Like maybe you're doing that on purpose. I don't know. Let's talk about like why I think this is happening.
And let's try something different.
Yeah, let's try mentoring each other rather than just kind of just like dictating.
I actually think that would really help people a lot. Just
really
to be
would.
more open about it.
It really would. I mean, even in general, like in classes nowadays, like I remember there used to be this trend way back in the day, like a long time ago, where teachers would tell their students not to give each other feedback. And I'm like, that's so weird, because like nowadays I'm like, give each other feedback. Like, of course, try to be as good as you can be. If you have nothing to offer them, be like, there's this one part, let's work on this one part. Like, I'm not sure if it feels one way or another. So let's work on the one part. Okay, cool. Like, like back and forth. So I really like that. It helps us communicate better, that's what our dance is about. For in the short, two people connecting without trying to talk about it. But when we're in the class atmosphere, we could talk about it. Yeah. So yeah, they definitely had that same thing of like they saw something that did it. Like they give you that point.
Yeah.
Like Dawn would be like
point.
giving that point, and like that big thumbs up with her big eyes, like looking directly at you, just boom. Yeah. It's just so good. It's just so good.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just a critical thing. It could be just like, hey, you were awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think we could use that. That's that one extra step further. Yeah. For sure. I mean, Dean would actually say that to my family about me. He's like, he's a good dancer, but he'll never be a Balboa dancer. And I was like, yeah, it never happened.
He was right.
I was like, and I remember I was like, Dean, but like I've been dancing Balboa since I was a kid, and he's like, I mean, yeah, you've been dancing part of it, like he's like, yeah, a little bit.
Was
he's like,
it Balboa?
yeah, exactly. And he was as a strict advocate for pure Balboa is what we call it today, which is basically, in the short, is Balboa when you do it a little bit more in closed position with 2 points of connection, or really up close and touching the torsos. So, anyways, moving on from that, let me do that a little bit better. I'm sorry. Dawn and Dean, we will miss you guys. Thank you so much for all of your awesomeness to giving it to our community, and we're going to try to continue it like the way that Jerry just said so eloquently. So moving on from that, we have Dance Floor Etiquette poster from Swing Patrol, London, and Laura Knight. That's so helpful. Like, we have so many posters and all this stuff. Like, what are those things that you have in like office buildings that they have like a eagle and you're like, strength?
Oh, like
motivational posters?
Yeah, like motivational posters. Yeah. I feel like this is that same thing. It's like it should be in like every dance school that has Lindy Hop. Like they're so straightforward and simple.
Yeah.
What struck you about them?
Well, actually, I was thinking more along the lines of those OSHA sort of.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was thinking of too. Or like when you go into a doctor's office and it's like the eyeball, and it like shows you all the parts of the eye.
It's like because you said it earlier, like an ombudsman, like that poster is like we have to have it in our elderly care homes. It's like as big as this. I know you guys can't see it at home, but it's as big as this picture.
Yeah,
like we have to.
It's a big picture.
Post it.
It's a large picture.
Yeah, it's a large picture. It's like 3x2 at least. So, anyways, That poster came out this year, and if you have a chance, go check it out. I mean, it's probably on. I mean, you have it here on an archive or something. I don't know what that means.
Very informative.
I don't know what that means. Anyways, but I'm sure you can.
There's
find
a
it on
link
Facebook.
somewhere.
There's a link somewhere. You can check it out. Dance Floor Etiquette's poster, Swing Patrol, Laura Knight. It's really fun too. Lastly, we have the Spirit of Lindy Hop, which is an award given out sometimes if they feel
Sometimes,
like it,
not all-
if they feel
every
like
year.
it at LHC, and that is between Tina, Sylvia, and Nina, and they decide whether someone or some people have well represented the spirit of Lindy Hop, and they give them an award based on that. Usually it's been given to people that have done the dance or done some kind of dance that weekend, or something that happened,
Yeah.
And this year it went to people that didn't dance. This year it went to
Or
Daphne.
not known for dancing.
What's that?
Not known for dancing at that event.
Yeah, not known
Yeah.
for dancing at that event. It went to Daphne and Alex, and Daphne actually had an iPhone and posted because like Facebook Live was just hitting everybody's phones and everybody's apps.
Well, we should probably back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, as most people
yes.
know,
Yes.
uh,
You actually did this the last time too.
It was
That's
the
funny.
exact same thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
But ILHC usually live or Yehudi live broadcasts ILHC in the past. This year couldn't make it happen, which everyone was bummed about. But we promised to put all the videos up as soon as possible. Daphne saw that. Well, she's the kind of person who does things at events. She told me actually that weekend that she's not used to just being at an event.
Yeah.
Having fun. Like she has to do something.
She's here at Lindy Focus. She's doing it. She's
yeah.
on staff.
She's like,
Oh, yeah.
So she found out. She asked about the Wi-Fi in the room, and Facebook is now at that time just started pushing live video on its platform. So she's like, well, why don't I just live broadcast it just through the phone, just a little something, because she knows, because everyone was bummed about not being able to see everything live. And then the reason why Alex Parker was also awarded is that he did a lot of, I guess you want to call it the marketing for this thing.
Yeah, definitely. And even
And this all happened during the weekend.
Yeah.
And
just happened because
he wasn't even at the event.
Yeah,
he was in Europe.
Yeah. So he got to see it while it was happening. He was like, what?
He was
So-
posting
Yeah.
when
Time zones.
Yeah, time zones and every event that was happening, and he was hosting all these viewing parties, and he was basically watching 24/7.
Yeah,
It
basically.
seemed like it.
Basically, I mean, that again is also an example of taking that extra step forward. Where Daphne is what can I do to affect the scene or help the scene or give back, and that is just so good.
That's the thing. The thing I love about that and I've been trying to push is that when people say we're a relatively small scene,
Right.
Generally speaking, even though it's worldwide, there are thousands of people, but compared to a lot of things, it's relatively small and pretty intimate. When she saw a problem, she, rather than just just complain on Facebook, well, this sucks, said, well, what can I do to help? And then Alex did the same thing, and a bunch of other people, and
Right.
Kevin and Joe also.
Right. Yeah.
helped out a lot.
Exactly. And Daphne used Kevin and Joe's professional page on Facebook to post all this stuff out there, and of course Alex would do it from his own one and post it to everything as much as possible.
Which is
So-
so awesome.
It's so great. They deserved it, and I love how the technology keeps growing, and we as a community grow with it as well, and that's what's gonna feed us forward. I mean, there's so many other dance styles and dance communities out there that have thrived off of the enhancement of YouTube or anything out there that is technical like this.
Yeah. Since we're talking about a year in review, what was your favorite part about this year as far as Lindy Hop goes?
Remember, the people are listening to you.
Yeah.
Everyone's listening.
It's
I don't know if
hard,
there's
right?
yeah.
We've
Yeah.
got 6 listeners.
Yeah, exactly. And 2 of them are in here.
Yeah,
Two of 'em are in
exactly.
And it's me and Mikey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Although that's I just kind of maybe don't have a very specific thing, but it's just kind of interesting to see the continue to like grow and develop and evolve. Like this podcast is an example. Like this, like a few podcasts popped up this year.
Yeah.
And within the past 2 years, there's been a couple of like really well-made shows that are coming out on a fairly regular basis now. But that's like one other thing that's like, there's the dancing. You know, you have Remy and Ramona like pushing the creative envelope, but you know, then you have people like, you know, Alex and Daphne just kind of like filling in like things that people need. But also like now that the community's grown, like, well, you know, maybe you like talking about dance. Like, let's have a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me write on the internet. Like, yeah. Or if you have like some other, the Lindy Hop community is now becoming big enough to accommodate your other interests.
Exactly.
You know, maybe it's recording video during an event, or whatever Mikey does when he's like not
Whatever
dancing.
Mikey
Like,
does.
yeah.
Stays up late.
Talk to people. Talk
Yeah.
to people. I mean, it is really cool. Like, if anybody out there is like interested in this, it's like really easy. You just go to Guitar Center or like go to Amazon and like pick up a dynamic microphone, an XLR cable, a Zoom recorder, or a Tascam recorder, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then like you just put
Spout
it on
information.
iTunes. Yeah, and then you just talk and you're like,
Also,
hello.
correctly push the buttons.
Oh yeah. Correctly push the
I
buttons.
know.
Rachel.
But they gotta have like
Rachel still learning this
seminars
one.
for that kind of stuff or something.
Oh,
Jesus.
well, we're all done. That was so great, everybody.
Rachel, I'm so smart. I just push a button. Oops.
Idiot.
Idiot. I'm such an idiot.
Can you? By the way, I got a request
Yeah.
from someone here at Lindy Focus. Can you say your catchphrase?
Which one?
I mean, the one.
Oh, cuckoo banana boats?
Yeah,
Ask cuckoo banana boats.
that was for you, Agatha. Okay, so we're gonna move on. That was our year in review. We're gonna move on. I think, you know what? To be honest, like, I'd rather just move on to our bright side and
Oh.
just end it. We'll do another question another day. It's fine.
Sure. Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, if you had done it before, we would
No,
have
it's
it.
fine.
So, all right. So, Rachel, bright side, go.
Oh, man. I mean, I really like having you on here, Jerry.
Aww.
You're so
Thank
fun
you.
to talk to.
Call him
This-
his real
this was
name.
fun.
His real name.
Jer Bear?
Oh. Just for you, though.
Yeah, I
just
know.
for Rachel.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
nobody else
that's
calls
Rachel.
him that.
No,
Yeah.
no one else would dare.
Or
else they end up in his blog.
I take the liberty to take the next step with people.
Oh man, that is a good one. Yeah, I'm partially that. Having you on here, it's been really good. I mean, since we started this, we definitely wanted you on here, just to get your idea out there. You know, like have people hear your voice as well.
The Buddha
Yeah.
of Lindy Hop.
Thanks for having me.
Describe.
I will say, so Bobby and I had our own, like, it was a vlog.
Right.
Kind of a video podcast almost.
Yeah.
And we did that because we just thought it would be interesting. It wasn't something that people weren't doing. And that turned out to be a lot of work. But I still I do like hearing other people discuss things in the scene. So it's been great to hear you and Alexi over at Ig Hop and Ryan Swift with the track.
Michael and Vita.
Michael and Vita.
That was actually
all
really
these
cool.
people.
Really well
All
produced.
these people. So it's been really cool to see the medium take off and people show interest
Yeah.
Yeah.
in it.
Is that your bright side?
Sure. Yeah, but generally just kind of like the growth and development scene. I was saying, like I've been saying before, like,
Yeah.
that we can do. I mean, it's fun flailing around for a couple hours, but Lindy Hop can be so much more. Not just the dance, but like the community.
Totally.
Yeah.
What's your Burt side?
My is learning to spell it right. So the name of our own show. I think my bright side is that even though we may be entering a time in America and maybe the rest of the world that is maybe not the brightest and maybe a lacking of hope, that people like us, people like dancers, small communities of other things, of other whatever activities, can come together and realize that we have a common ground. And Jerry, we were talking about this before. It was like a common ground, and in our case, it's Lindy Hop. And then we find that we have other common grounds as well because probably we like this one thing, we're probably going to like this other thing together too, and like this other thing together.
Or at the very least, like work together.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I mean, and that's what I'm getting at. Like we're if we get along in one way, we're probably going to get along another way. And we're going to support each other, and we're going to do this. And no matter how dark or how shitty things may get, we're still going to have each other. And for me, the idea of community is just another word for family. And for me, family has always been super strong, and I want that to be my bright side is community, family, together. We're going to fucking do this together. We're going to swing out together, and we're going to be better people together. So that's
Hear,
my
hear.
bright side. That's my
Hear,
bright side.
hear.
So thank you so much. He says,
Clink.
clink, clink, clink with
Clink
our water
our
and tea.
plastic together.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry, so much for coming on here for the second time. I mean, if we had a Patreon, I would just put on the one I had before, and just my voice would be on there,
I know, right?
something like that.
Oh.
But thank you so
I'm
much for
Mikey.
doing that.
Ooh.
I know. I would be the only one who listens. So, what?
Did we get a bright side from Rachel?
We
I
did.
Oh, we did. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
it was you.
Yeah.
I'm
Were
not
you
used
not
to that.
listening?
I didn't think you were serious.
I was
Actually,
just no,
See,
I was.
She does that to me too. Every once in a while, she's like, there was a bright side one time that it was like, I was like, I hate you so much for saying that.
It was Mikey had shared that he tucks his shirt into his underwear when he dresses up, so that way his shirt doesn't come untucked. And I said that knowing that was my bright side, and he didn't believe me, but it actually was like just the image of when I'm dancing with him on the dance floor and he's looking all fly, that his his shirt is in his underwear.
It's
It's
why isn't his shirt moving?
it's such a like
Now you know.
humbling
Exactly.
and like
Exactly.
just
Like, you
down to
have a
earth
secret.
experience.
Yeah.
Like people look so glamorous, and then you're like, oh, but deep down inside, they're just like everybody else,
So
like
true.
They're tucked
goofballs.
Goofballs. All right, with that, we're going to end it. You can find Jerry on the Facebook of Wandering and Pondering. Of course, there's also his blog and his websites if you're interested in photography as well, right?
in. Yes, jsalmonteproductions.com.
Yeah. And you can find us, of course, on Facebook, SoundCloud, and iTunes under The Bright Side with Mikey and Rachel.
Send us questions. Send us comments. We love you.
Yeah, and review us on iTunes because that'd be really fun. I'd love to read some of the stuff. Tell us what we're doing wrong, but give us 5 stars.
Yeah. And also, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
This is probably going to be the
Yay.
first one that comes out very, very soon. I'm going to edit it today, and we'll see what happens.
Let's
Thank
have
you
a good
guys
2017.
so much. Yes,
Yay.
awesome. Thank you, guys, and
Bye.
So yeah.
Press stop.
Well, I'm going to... Okay.